Hello, this is Paul Milligan, the editor of InfoComm MEA. We're here at InfoComm Middle East 2015. I'm joined today by Chris Hellmuth from Vivid AV Media. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks.
First of all then, what are your views on the show? Has it become an important part of doing business in the region?
Definitely yes. I mean, in 2011 when the show started, it was the show. I mean, Palmy was actually going a little downwards, and so we were happy in the region to have now a show which is really focusing on the AV market. And I mean, there were some years where InfoComm wasn't that successful, especially in the years where they changed something, like in the second year where the location had to be changed. And so, for example, next year, I really looking forward to see what's going to happen, because if the dates will be different and it will be moved away from Gitex, it has to show if it is a good move.
Sure.
Yeah.
And looking at the overall kind of ProV market in the Middle East, how would you say that's doing right now?
It could be better, to be honest. I mean, it's running, but there are some countries who have to, it's a little difficult for them, the situation, like in Saudi, for example, with the Yemen conflict, and also Iran. Of course, it's a market which has a lot of potential, and at the moment the sanctions are discussed to be lifted, and this might also cause maybe problems for Saudi. So I think the power in this region will maybe change a little bit to other countries.
Sure.
And but basically business is good, but it could definitely be better.
Sure.
But there are some factors like the political situations, and
yes, of course,
we don't have any influence on.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about countries that are having difficulties. Are there any other countries that are doing particularly well right now that are really good for you or strong?
I mean, UAE is still a good market. Saudi is also okay, but it seems that the government is holding back money for certain projects, and also the oil pricing is of course affecting the situation. But
that's something we've heard across the show, actually.
Yes.
You're not alone. It's a lot of people saying Saudi is holding back.
That's true. But I think markets like Qatar and UAE are still good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you think the World Cup and the World Expo will have a big impact on the region?
It will definitely have a big impact, because in these events and these events there will be a lot of AV will be used and needed for these kind of events, and so there will be a lot of things going on then, but it's still, I think, a little too early to talk about it.
I mean, I was going to ask a kind of follow-up question. Do you think the work that's done for the World Cup and the World Expo, being there 5 and 7 years away, will it be a lot nearer the time of the event, or do you think it'll be a steady trickle of work coming through?
It will steadily grow, but I think I would say around 3 years before the actual event.
Sure.
So I think in 2017 it will start with the Expo, and in 2019 it will be with the so-called World Cup in Qatar.
Yeah. I mean, you represent a kind of number of brands and stuff. What technologies are consultants and integrators in the Middle East coming to you for, or are you seeing demand for in this particular region?
Yeah, I think there's a big demand for products which are IT related. I mean, this merger between AV and IT is still going on, and I see that there's also a lot of things manufacturers are going to release next year, which are affecting also the way distribution has to change. Or I mean, the whole distribution as it is today, it might change in future, because the big word is now bring your own device. So a lot of things are running on applications on an iPhone or on an iPad, and things are running on familiar devices that you carry around with you. And so the big question is, of course, what is then the leftover or the work for the integrator to do between the manufacturer and the end user? So
an interesting one to solve, I think.
Definitely.
I think integrators maybe have to be the glue for all those devices and software and apps.
Yeah, I mean, there are still, there's so much stuff in the AV business. There is the speakers, and then there's the microphone, and then there's a lot of stuff happening in between, and there's still a lot of things which people need to be explained in between for people.
Yeah, sure. That's great. Chris, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.